They say hard work pays off. But they don't tell you what it'll cost when the reward is laced with betrayal. My name's Jack Bennett. 42. Salt on the temples. Blue-collar roots dressed up in a charcoal blazer. I'd put in 8 solid years at Halverson and Pike Consulting, built a reputation on reliability and results. I didn't kiss ass, I didn't cut corners. I showed up, I delivered. Every damn time. So when they hired Michael Larson, this 6'2" golden boy from Boston with slick suits and TED Talk energy, I didn't blink. Let him chase headlines. I just wanted to get home before my dinner got cold. He was 2 weeks in when he pulled me aside after a staff meeting. "Jack," he said, clapping me on the shoulder like we were old college buddies. "You've got potential I don't think the company's tapped into yet. I want you on high-level accounts, executive clients, travel gigs." I didn't smile, didn't frown either. I just nodded. "What kind of travel?" "East Coast for starters. Maybe some cross-country Chicago, Seattle, LA. You'll be the face of our problem-solving branch." The raise that came with it was decent, enough to justify a new suit, maybe take Amy out for a nicer anniversary dinner. She was thrilled at first. "I'm proud of you," she said that night, wrapping her arms around me after I told her. "You deserve this." But something about the way she said it didn't sit right. Felt staged, like she was already rehearsing a script. The trip started the next Monday. Red-eye to Boston, 2 nights in a Marriott, back in time to mow the lawn on Saturday. Then Denver, then Atlanta. Within 4 weeks, I was living out of a carry-on and counting terminal chairs as furniture. And Amy, the woman who used to cry when I left for weekend fishing trips, she suddenly had zero problem waving goodbye. Hell, she packed my bags like she was sending me to summer camp. Brand new yoga pants, new perfume on the dresser, and she started hitting the gym again. "For stress," she said. I wanted to believe it. I really did. But she'd always hated working out. I hate sweating. And now suddenly she's jogging 5 miles before breakfast? Something gnawed at me during layovers. I'd text her, and sometimes it'd take hours to hear back. I'd call at night and get a rush, "Can I call you later?" Or, "I'm watching a movie with Sandra." That's her best friend. I knew Sandra. She worked the night shift at the ER. She wasn't watching movies at 9 p.m. Still, I tried not to be the jealous husband. I gave Amy the benefit of the doubt. Figured maybe she was finding herself while I was out trying to secure our future. But deep down, I felt it. Like a hairline crack in a windshield, starts small, invisible almost. But every bump, every shift, and suddenly the whole thing's spiderwebbed. That crack got wider one Thursday in late October. I came home early. Flight landed ahead of schedule. Cab dropped me off just after noon. I walked in expecting silence. Instead, I heard laughter. Hers. Light, carefree. Not the kind of laugh she gave me anymore. I followed the sound to the kitchen, only to find her alone, wiping down the counter with a smile on her face and Bluetooth earbuds in. She jumped when she saw me, dropped the sponge. "Jack, you scared me." "Didn't mean to." The flight landed early. She looked like she'd seen a ghost. "You should have called. Thought I'd surprise you." She scrambled to collect herself, offered to make me a sandwich, and asked how the trip went. But I wasn't listening. I saw the second wine glass in the sink. Lipstick on the rim. Amy doesn't wear lipstick on Thursdays. Later that night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while she showered. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand. A name flashed. M. Larson. I picked it up. Locked. That's when the crack in the windshield finally reached the edge. And I knew I wasn't driving this car anymore. San Francisco was supposed to be the big one. "High-priority client," Michael said, tapping the itinerary with manicured fingers. "Jack, this is a chance to show the brass what you're made of. You'll be there for the whole week. Tuesday through Sunday minimum. Play it smart and this could open doors." He said it like he was doing me a favor. I nodded just like always because I knew how to play my part. But after the last trip and that M. Larson text on Amy's phone, I'd stopped trusting the script. I flew out Monday night, checked into a hotel overlooking the Embarcadero, upgraded to a king suite on the company. The client meeting was set for Tuesday at noon, but when I showed up, I found out the issue was a simple billing error. It took all of 25 minutes to clear it up. "Do you need me the rest of the week?" I asked the client rep, a stiff guy named Patel. He looked confused. "I think we're good. Honestly, this didn't need in-person attention. So why the 5-day booking? Why the king suite? Why the long leash?" I called Michael. Got voicemail. Called Amy next. She answered on the second ring, cheery as spring. "Hey babe, how's San Fran?" "Good," I said slowly. Client meeting wrapped early. I might head home tomorrow. Dead silence. Not even background noise. Then, "Wait, tomorrow? I thought you were there all week." I was. Plans changed. "What's wrong?" "Oh, nothing. Just, I'd already made plans with Sandra on Thursday. It's her birthday. I promised I'd spend the night at her place. Girls' wine night and all that." Sandra again. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse her. I just let it hang. "You don't sound excited to see me." No, I am. Of course I am. It's just, you know how it is. When you're away, I plan my own little routine. Makes the time go faster." She was scrambling, trying to cover a fire with confetti. I knew that voice. Bright, forced, too careful. I used to hear it on calls with clients when I had bad news to deliver. "All right," I said, calm as stone. "I'll let you know if I catch an earlier flight." We hung up, and I sat there staring at the Golden Gate Bridge out the window, wondering how many other men had watched their lives unravel over hotel coffee and cheap carpet. That's when I knew. This trip wasn't a reward. It was a setup, a stage, a decoy. They wanted me gone. And not just the company. My wife, my boss. And they thought I was too busy working to notice. I picked up my phone and checked the flight apps. There was one seat left on a 7:10 a.m. flight to Charlotte. One stop in Dallas. I booked it. I didn't call again. Didn't text. If they wanted me out of the way, then it was time they got a real surprise. I slept in my clothes. Didn't unpack a thing. Just laid there in the dark, listening to the hum of the HVAC and the slow turning gears in my mind. I wasn't going home early because I missed her. I wasn't going home to beg or fight or ask questions. I was going home to see what they did when they thought I was gone. And this time I'd be ready to record it. The taxi pulled up to my house just after 2 in the afternoon. The sun was high, bright, too clean for what I was about to walk into. My street looked the same as always. Lawns trimmed, kids' bikes leaning against fences, old American flags faded on porches. Our place was quiet, too quiet. No music, no TV. But there was one thing that stopped me cold. A silver BMW parked halfway up the driveway. Michael's BMW. I stared at it from the curb for a full minute. My hands didn't shake. My breath didn't speed up. The anger I expected to feel, it didn't come like a wave. Came like a slow drip of ice water down my spine, freezing everything, calming me. I pulled out my phone, opened the camera, and hit record. Then I walked. My key turned easily in the lock. Inside, the air smelled like cinnamon and perfume. Amy always lit a candle when she had company. My boots sank into the rug we bought together 2 years ago on a weekend trip to Asheville. The same weekend she swore I was the only man she'd ever love. Liar. I moved through the hallway like a ghost. No creak in the floorboards. No sound but the low thrum of laughter, his laugh. I'd heard it 100 times in the office. Confidence. Smug. The bedroom door was half shut. I pushed it open. And there they were. Amy was straddling Michael in our bed. My bed. She was wearing a black silk robe I bought her for our anniversary. He was shirtless, grinning, his hands on her waist. The first thing that hit me wasn't rage. It was how small they both looked at that moment. Amy gasped, scrambled off him like a kid caught cheating on a test. Michael froze, deer in headlights. Jack. Jesus, what the hell? I raised the phone. Still recording. Keep talking. Amy wrapped herself in a blanket, eyes wide. Jack. This isn't. Don't insult me. I walked in slowly, calmly. No yelling. No fists. Just facts. You've been screwing my boss. In my house. while I was out earning the paycheck that pays for this bed. Amy sobbed. Please, just let me explain. Michael stood up, hands raised like I was holding a weapon. Look, man, I didn't plan for this to. Save it. I turned to Amy. You didn't seem too heartbroken when I walked in. You weren't crying then. She broke, sinking onto the bed, face in her hands. I kept recording. I wanted their voices, their words, the timestamps, the panic, the squirming. Michael finally got smart and reached for his pants. I'm leaving. I stepped aside. Go ahead. Don't forget your car. He rushed past me, tripping over his own shoes. I didn't watch him leave. I only watched Amy, her face twisted between shame and desperation. Jack, I made a mistake. No, I said, calm and final. You made a choice. She stood. Reach for me. I stepped back. You packed my bags for every trip. You encouraged them. You gave me to him piece by piece while he used me to climb the ladder. And you? I looked her straight in the eye. You used my absence as a green light. She was shaking now, but I felt nothing. No pity, no love, just clarity. I'll be in touch, I said and walked out. The recording is still running. By 9 a.m. the next morning, I was sitting in the downtown office of Sarah Mitchell, a divorce attorney known for being sharp, cold, and vicious when it counted. She didn't do hand-holding. She did the results. Exactly what I needed. I handed her my phone. Everything's in that video. Time-stamped. Audio's clear. He's my supervisor. She's my wife. She watched the footage silently. No raised brows, no gasps. Just a quiet nod as the sound of Amy's giggle turned into sobs. Do you want blood or just bones? She asked when the video ended. Start with the bones. We'll see what's left. She smiled faintly, businesslike. Then let's talk about options. Within an hour, we had a plan. No stalling, no posturing. North Carolina's divorce laws didn't look kindly on adultery, especially when you had proof. And I had proof in high definition. We filed immediately. Grounds: adultery and marital misconduct. I made sure Sarah included every line about asset protection, fault-based considerations, and professional conflict of interest. Amy wasn't just cheating on me. She was coordinating it with my direct superior, who'd manipulated company funds and travel schedules to cover his tracks. Sarah raised an eyebrow at that. If we push this right, the affair becomes a corporate liability. Your company can't afford a lawsuit tied to internal fraud or hostile work conditions. You think HR will move? They'll sprint. By lunch, Sarah had a certified copy of the divorce filing and a digital copy of the footage ready for HR. I didn't send it myself, I walked it in. The head of human resources was a corporate type named Neil Fisher. Stiff tie, fake sympathy, always ready with a company line. But when I sat down across from him and hit play, his whole demeanor shifted. That's Michael, he muttered, blinking hard. In your home? With your wife. And directing fraudulent travel to get me out of town so he could pull this off. I'd say that's a misuse of company resources. Wouldn't you? Neil's jaw worked for a moment before he found words. We'll have to open a formal investigation. I assumed you'd say that, I said, sliding over the envelope Sarah had prepped. That's a legal notice informing you of potential litigation should the company attempt to cover this up or retaliate in any form. He didn't open it, just nodded stiffly. Understood. I stood. One more thing, I won't be working under Michael while this plays out. If that's a problem, we'll escalate. He cleared his throat. We'll reassign him immediately. Pending review. I didn't say thank you. I didn't need to. This wasn't gratitude, it was war. That night, Amy tried calling. For times. Left 2 voicemails. The first one was a teary apology. The second was worse. Cold, angry. Accusing me of ruining everything over one mistake. I didn't respond. I slept in the guest room. I ate dinner in silence. I played with the dog in the yard like nothing had happened. Because that was the truth now. She was nothing. Just a chapter. And I had already started writing the next one without her. Michael was suspended within 48 hours. HR didn't wait for the full investigation to finish. The evidence was that strong, and the liability was too big to ignore. I didn't have to push. They moved like scared cattle once the legal language came through Sarah's office. Internal ethics committee, outside auditors, hell, even the board got involved. By the following Monday, Michael was terminated. The official statement said, "Conduct unbecoming of an executive." But I saw the longer version. Misuse of funds, policy violations, conflicts of interest. Turns out I wasn't the only one. Another employee's name came up. Divorced last year, no details. But now the timeline made sense. Michael had a habit. And Amy? She found out the same morning his severance got denied. I came home from work, my real job, not the traveling distraction they used me for, and found her waiting at the kitchen table. She was holding a folder. Divorce papers. She'd finally read them. "You're going to ruin both our lives over this?" she said, voice sharp. I poured myself a drink. "No, Amy, you did that already. I'm just documenting the damage. You didn't have to get him fired." "No, I didn't. He did that to himself. Just like you." She folded her arms, trying to hold some kind of moral ground. "I made a mistake." "Stop calling it that," I snapped. "A mistake is forgetting an anniversary or saying something cruel during a fight. You planned this. You covered for him. You used me." Her chin wobbled. "But I never stopped loving you." I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman I once trusted with everything. She was dressed down now, no makeup, hair pulled back. Not the polished version she'd become while I was on the road. She looked small, defeated, like she finally saw the fire spreading and realized she wasn't immune. "I moved into the guest room," I said, setting my glass down. "This house will be mine soon. You should start thinking about where you're going next." "Jack, please. Counseling. One session. Just one. We can talk." I shook my head. "There's no we anymore. Just what's legal and what's final." Tears welled up. She reached across the table. I didn't move. Let her hand hang in the air between us until she gave up. I went to the garage and spent the evening restoring an old workbench I hadn't touched in years. Scraping it down, sanding it clean. The repetitive rhythm was better than sleep. By the time I stopped, hours had passed. Amy never came out. She knew. The man she used to manipulate, to deceive, to mock behind my back. That man didn't exist anymore. And I wasn't angry. Not in the way she probably expected. Not red-faced or screaming or throwing things. That kind of anger burns fast and fades out. Mine didn't. Mine settled in. Cold. Sharp. Permanent. The courtroom wasn't dramatic like TV. No shouting matches or gasps from the gallery. Just a tired-looking judge, some stern legal clerks, and two people sitting on opposite sides of a quiet war. Amy wore a navy blouse, soft makeup, hair done like it was Sunday at church, trying to look remorseful, respectable. Her lawyer, a thin woman with expensive heels and a voice like sandpaper, opened with a plea for equity and a second chance for a long-standing marriage. Sarah Mitchell didn't even blink. She opened her binder, slid forward a printed transcript of the recorded footage, then followed it up with the video itself. She had the whole thing on a secure USB, labeled, timed, dated. The judge watched in silence as the screen lit up with Amy and Michael, caught mid-laugh on my bed, her robe loose at the shoulders, his shirt tossed over the lamp. Audio crystal clear. Sarah didn't waste time with theatrics. Just facts. "Your Honor, we are not merely discussing adultery. We are presenting a pattern of calculated betrayal, willful deception, and manipulation of both the marriage and the husband's professional life." Amy couldn't look at the screen. I didn't take my eyes off it. The judge leaned back when it ended, steepling his fingers. "Does the respondent dispute the authenticity of this recording?" Amy's lawyer coughed. "No, Your Honor, but we believe there's context." "There always is," he said dryly. "That doesn't make it less damning." It took less than an hour for the verdict to come down. No alimony. I kept the house. The full 401k. Savings untouched. She walked away with her name, whatever pride she could scrape together, and a warning from the judge about wasting the court's time with emotional manipulation. Amy broke down right there at the table, head in her hands, shoulders shaking. But there was no comfort coming. Not from me, not from the judge, not from anyone. I stood, buttoned my coat, nodded to Sarah, and walked out before Amy even looked up. Outside the courthouse, the sun was sharp and clean, cold in that Carolina way that cuts through flannel and makes your lungs feel new. Sarah stepped beside me, her heels crunching the gravel. That went well. Better than I hoped. Do you need anything else from me? No, I said. You already gave me back everything they tried to take. She paused, then added with a smirk, your ex-wife's lawyer will likely appeal. She's desperate. She can appeal to Jesus for all I care. Sarah laughed once, sharp and quick. I like you, Jack. You're the kind who actually follows through. I didn't come here to burn down her life, I said. I came to get mine back. Same difference. She walked to her car and left me standing there under a hard winter sky. And for the first time in months, maybe years, I took a full breath that didn't taste like someone else's lies. 6 months passed like a freight train. The house was quiet now, and I liked it that way. No forced conversations. No perfume masking lies. Just the ticking of the kitchen clock, the sound of boots by the door, and the hum of morning coffee brewing while the sun warmed the eastern windows. I still worked for Halverson and Pike, but only until the dust settled. I showed up, did the job, kept my head down while Michael's name got quietly erased from the company's internal systems. Rumor was he tried to sue, but corporate lawyers eat little guys like him for breakfast once the scandal files stack up. Amy moved out a month after the final court date. No forwarding address. I didn't ask. Her name stayed off everything: title, bank account, insurance, even the dog's vet file. She didn't want the dog, anyway. Funny how people reveal themselves when they lose the power to manipulate. I spent weekends fixing up the garage, restoring my old '71 Camaro, and occasionally grabbing a steak with guys from the shop who actually remembered my name without looking down at a badge. Life was still, but not stagnant. Then came the call. I was sipping coffee at the kitchen counter, watching the trees shift in the wind, when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail. Glad I didn't. Jack Bennett. The voice was confident, smooth, but not slimy. Speaking. This is Marcus Blake, VP of Precision Consulting. We've met before briefly at the Atlanta Logistics Summit 2 years ago. I remembered him. Sharp dresser. No nonsense. Ran his division like a shipyard foreman with an MBA. I've heard about what happened at Halverson, he continued. Unfortunate, but instructive. Depends who's doing the learning, I said, setting my mug down. He chuckled. I've been following the fallout. HR scandals, executive turnover. Your name kept surfacing in the right circles. I admire how you handled things. Quiet, strategic, clean. I didn't say anything. Let him keep talking. I've got a director's seat opening. Regional accounts. You'd run your own team, set your own travel schedule, report directly to me. Full autonomy. Full benefits. The base salary's 40% higher than what you're making now. Now he had my attention. Why me? I asked. Because you're the kind of guy who doesn't flinch. And because Michael Larson always wanted this role. He pitched to us 3 times. Got turned down twice. We never said why. That hit was different. I didn't smile, but I leaned back in the chair, the kind of satisfaction creeping in that didn't need words. I'll want to see the offer in writing, I said after a beat. Of course. You'll have it by the end of day. We wrapped the call. 10 minutes later, an email came in with a subject line that just read, Welcome to Precision. I sat there a long time after, not gloating, just grounded. Everything they took from me, my trust, my dignity, my sense of stability, I'd built back, piece by piece. Not with begging, not with vengeance, just with grit and patience and the kind of backbone that doesn't get taught in HR meetings. They tried to bury me. I came back with a promotion. Spring rolled in quietly this year. No birthday party plans. No forced anniversary dinner. Just me. A stack of lumber, and a dog that followed me around like I was the only man left on earth worth trusting. I found the last box in the basement while cleaning up one Saturday. Taped tight, marked in Amy's handwriting, "Memories Wedding." I couldn't look at that kind of thing without feeling like someone kicked me in the chest. But now, it just looked like clutter. I brought the box outside to the fire pit. Tossed in old photos first, engagement shots, honeymoon beach pictures, a few framed pieces of our smiling faces that once sat above the fireplace like some kind of shrine to lie. The paper curled quickly, orange flames licking the edges. Then came the cards. The ones she wrote in perfect cursive. "To my soulmate, forever yours." I fed them one at a time, not out of rage, out of necessity. She'd spent years playing the part, playing me, and now all that paper, all those smiles, all those promises. That was her legacy now. I didn't cry, didn't even flinch. The wind shifted, and the smoke blew toward the garden. I stood there a moment longer, hands on my hips, then went inside, washed up, and changed shirts. Later that evening, I met Rebecca for dinner. We kept it simple: grilled salmon, iced tea, a quiet booth at a place that didn't try too hard to impress. She was kind, thoughtful, the kind of woman who listened without interrupting, asked questions like she actually wanted the answers. We weren't rushing anything. She'd been through her own version of hell, and we both understood what rebuilding looked like. No performances, no expectations, just two people starting fresh. "You seem lighter tonight," she said, her eyes studying me over the rim of her glass. "Burn some old stuff," I said. "Felt good." She nodded. "Sometimes you have to let go of the past so it doesn't rot the future." Exactly. I walked her to her car. Didn't press for anything. Just a good night and a thank you and a quiet handshake that lingered into something more without pushing it. The sky was clean that night, stars out in full. The kind of night that doesn't promise anything but peace. I got home, let the dog out, and sat by the fire pit one last time. The embers glowed soft. The ashes had settled. And so had I. I wasn't the man I was a year ago. I wasn't a victim. I wasn't angry anymore. I was something else now. Free.